Hey, what's up, my family? Thank you for tuning into my channel. My name is Buddy Steele. This is Plug Talk. I'm going to be talking about the coronavirus today, and I lament having this discussion, making this video. I really didn't want to talk about the coronavirus, even initially, even though I did post a video the other day. Just because, like, everybody's talking about it, you know, we're all following the same people. We all get the same information. And there's definitely like overkill with the media, and that has led to a lot of like disturbing observations from people, because some people just will not take this seriously because of, you know, the media overhyping it, you know, saying that you know, it's no different than the common flu, and, you know, this or that or the third, and, you know, and then there's the other side that is totally panicking. You know, that might be a little bit on the extreme side of the spectrum, but there's certainly that wide of a spectrum here. And then there's a lot of other people in the middle that are like, okay, man, like, you know, I'm aware of it. You know, I'm giving it attention. I'm staying, you know, ear to the news to see what's going on and wait for developments. And, you know, you have that kind of on the back of your mind as you're going through your day. You know, you're trying to wash your hands more often and make a little bit better decisions. And I'm only bringing it up because there's a certain point when things start to hit home. Things start to get more tangible and get more real. There was actually a few of them that hit that made me like, okay, dang, this ain't like the Zika. This ain't like the swine flu. One of them was Governor Inslee instituted a ban in Washington. He's the governor of Washington State. He instituted a ban in Washington on public gatherings of more than 250 people. So obviously that's going to affect things like churches and sporting and other events and fundraisers and charities and schools, potentially all that kind of stuff. And so that was the big thing where I'm like, dang, like they're taking big measures. These are measures that I did not see, or at least I didn't notice with previous viral scares such as this. Also, you know, it being officially labeled as a pandemic nationally and at the state level. Of course, it already has been treated and pretty much considered a pandemic. That's how they're acting and that's how they're reacting to things, but it is officially a pandemic now. And then, you know, with the NCAA, college sports, so March Madness, this is that time, it's March, and they have officially declared that both men and women's March Madness games are going to be conducted without an audience present. So there's only going to be the players, coaches, officials, and necessary people present during those games. That is an unprecedented move in modern history. That's a big thing. And then you have the NBA just a little while ago, the National Basketball Association, coming out and saying that until further notice, all NBA games are going to be suspended until they can conclusively figure out a plan on what to do with this outbreak. You know, and the NBA was already making moves. I mean, before that, the Golden State Warriors of the NBA had announced that indefinitely, at least through the end of March, they were going to play all of their home games without an audience as well. And now they took it a step further where they're not even going to play games at all right now. The biggest thing that I saw was just a few minutes ago, right before I was going to record this video, and I was going to do it on the coronavirus. Unfortunately, I just happened to check my Facebook. I was kind of procrastinating on hopping on the tube here. And I saw it shared. Someone was like, man, if Tom Hanks dies of the coronavirus, I'm going to lose it. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, that's kind of odd. Like, why Tom Hanks? Like, is that just an arbitrary name? And then I look it up, and sure enough, man, every news publication, Tom Hanks and wife, Rita Wilson, publicly announced that they have tested positive for the coronavirus. They were in Australia because Tom Hanks was filming on the Gold Coast, presumably a movie. I did the 2020 most anticipated movies coming out, and Tom Hanks has 3 movies coming out this year. 2 of them that have already been filmed, I believe. And so I would assume that he was out there filming the third one that's going to come out here in like December of 2020. And Australia has had an outbreak, as has obviously China, Italy, Iran, and then the United States has had spots as well of outbreak. And Tom Hanks, just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. As these things happen, you can't anticipate what you're exposing yourself to. It is just a really, really weird thing. And what I was referring to when I said that there's always like that little switch where things become more tangible and things become real. In a case of like viral infections, such as the coronavirus, that is when like it hits home. Like when there's someone notable, someone or someone you recognize, whether it's a person within your circle of network, or it's like a famous person, a notable person. When they test positive, or they're a victim or one of the statistics, that's when it's like, oh, dang. It's not just these like imaginary, numbers out there. It's not just like, on a graph anymore. It seems real. And that's when things really, really get weird. It's just like in the 80s when there was that AIDS epidemic, and, it was so alarming and scary. AIDS, because they didn't really know anything about it. They thought only AIDS could get it and all that stuff. And then, once Freddie Mercury got it, and who was that actor, man? Rock Hudson got it. There was quite a few famous people. Johnny Holmes got it. Famous people that got it, where it's like, oh, dang, this is real. Even people with money, with esteem, with resources, diseases don't discriminate, certainly. I've also heard people, saying like, and this is on the other end of the spectrum where people are not taking it seriously. I'm just somewhere in the middle. That's just honestly where I'm at right now. But there's people that I've seen on social media that are like, okay, you're going to freak out and go buy out the warehouse of toilet paper because there's been, 4,300 deaths in the U.S. Oh, well, you better go see therapy then, because there's been, I don't even know, 60,000 suicides in the U.S. this year. And, you better go on a diet because there's been this many people died of, cardiac arrest and obesity this year. And there's this many people that, and this and that and the third. And that is just a very irresponsible and narrow-minded way to look at things. The alarm is not coming from the number of diagnoses and or deaths from coronavirus. Because obviously, if you compare the diagnosis and the deaths of the coronavirus to all the other things that plague society today, like obesity, like suicide and depression, like the common flu, that was another one they mentioned, stuff like that, obviously it's going to pale in comparison. But that's not what they're alarmed with. They're not alarmed with the deaths or the diagnosis per se. They are alarmed at the accelerated rate, the exponential rate that these numbers are going up at. They're going up at an alarming rate that is unmanageable, that is not able to be harnessed right now. Whereas all the other things that plague society, like the common flu and, obesity and depression, suicide, all that kind of stuff, it's on a predictable scale. It's on a predictable level. There's not a huge spike one way or the other. And then the common flu thing. People talk a lot about like, this is just like the flu. It's all, and they're saying do the obvious practical things and protect yourself. But if you get it, more than likely, you're going to be okay. And like I said, I'm not an expert, but that appears to be true to an extent, because it is such a drastic shift in the fatality rate when you're talking about people that are either under 60 or don't have any other pre-existing ailments, such as like diabetes or, respiratory issues or pneumonia, stuff like that. If you're seemingly healthy and young, the symptoms probably will be mild for you, and it will be able to be taken care of and eradicated from your body. But that does not mean that it is similar to the common cold. This is a whole different virus. Over time, our bodies have become familiar and have adapted to the common flu virus. And your body knows how to combat that because it recognizes it when it sees it. The coronavirus is totally different. Your body doesn't look at all flus as the same. They all affect you differently and react differently. That's why you get different symptoms. And your immune system is not prepared, equipped. There's no precedence on your body interacting with the coronavirus. So that's why it can be so dangerous. It's not just like the common cold. And just because it affects the elderly and or sick, the rest of us just should, call it, fake news and hype media and hyperbole and, chalk it up as to pretty much nothing, like it's not going to affect me, not worried about it. That is very inconsiderate, because we all have elderly people in our lives, loved ones. And just because we can get it and manage it and handle it and overcome it doesn't mean that within that 2 weeks of me contracting it and getting diagnosed and quarantined and taken care of, within that 2 weeks, I could go any number of places, man, and affect all these elderly people, and sick people and make them very, very vulnerable to that viral infection. Just because it's not going to affect us doesn't mean that we can't look out for everyone else. It's like, when people say, "Oh, why do you care about gay rights? You're not gay," or, whatever, any other example. It's like, well, just, how would poor people get help if people with money didn't help them? Just because you're not poor doesn't mean you can't help the poor people or hungry people. It's all the same kind of example. Elderly people and sick people out there must be befuddled. Like, what is going on? All these people are just acting so reckless and irresponsible and ignoring it and just doing the exact same things they were before, which for a lot of people means not washing your hands under any circumstances. Those people are probably like, man, what the heck, dude? What are you doing? That is a very, very obvious lack of consideration for anyone else. And I am not trying to contribute to the hype media, or to amp this up in any way. I just think that we should take proper precaution, and try to be the best that we can be and make the best decisions. I was at work today and we were hosting interviews, and a girl just coughed as she was speaking, giving her answer. She coughed just right into her hand, and didn't do it and catch herself and say, "Ooh, that was kind of gross or immature," or she just did it and didn't even notice it, she was used to it, just like I said, everyone hit them with a little dab, if you have to, or into a Kleenex. There are just so many things that we all do on a minute by minute basis that can spike these kind of things. There is obviously not one solution that is going to eradicate this virus as of yet, right? Suspending NBA games and shutting down schools, all that kind of stuff is not going to eradicate the virus. But, we know that. That's obvious. Obviously, what they're trying to do is they're trying to affect the curve. Any kind of curve that they've established right now, any kind of precedence, and they're trying to just lower the curve, not make a wrong decision and have things kind of spike up. Where all of a sudden one person gets it and he happens to be a person that, is a referee or works at a game in concessions or works at the mall, and all of a sudden, whoop, and that area just spikes up. You're trying to affect the curve. And so that means that you got to do the little things, because like I said, not one thing is going to be that perfect solution to fix everything. It's going to take all those little decisions and changes you make that are going to help contribute to the bigger issue, the larger solution. We just need to we're so tainted by the media, obviously, that we just don't want to take anything seriously. And not that I really care what people think, because they're just about nothing but stupid people on Facebook, the ones that contribute the most to it, it appears. But I don't want to come across, like I said, as someone who's extremely worried about this, because I'm really not even worried about it yet, just because I'm doing my part, I'm not being irresponsible with my hygiene, and I'm being considerate of others, and I'm trying to think ahead a little bit in the decisions that I make. Does that mean that I shouldn't go to the gym anymore? Does that mean that, I shouldn't go to the library more? Or should I go to Walmart when it's less busy? Who knows? Those are all questions that maybe we do need to ask ourselves, especially in the coming weeks. Considering that, we're not supposed to have a vaccine for this or a cure for this for another 12 to 18 months. It could take some time. They are testing things from what I heard already, but, that takes a long time just to do your trials and to get it approved. That takes a long time. So if we don't start taking it seriously for like another 2 or 3 months, man, that is going to have such a profound difference in the people diagnosed and the fatalities, the people affected. Just like when you start investing at 20 versus 35, there's such a huge dichotomy at the end. And the best thing we can do right now is just to take precaution, not overcorrect, but treat it seriously and consider it seriously. That's what I would recommend, because I can't recommend anything else, because I'm not at liberty to do so. I'm not an expert on it. But it is crazy, man. It is sad about hearing about Tom Hanks and his wife Rita Wilson. I love Tom Hanks so much, and I'm gonna, just on a hunch, I'm gonna assume that I'm not alone in that. Everyone loves Tom Hanks. Such a great man, fun actor, good actor, makes good movies. Man, we can go on and on. Splash and Big and Sleepless in Seattle. You've got Mail, Forrest Gump, Castaway, Philadelphia. He's made such good movies. And it's just a scary thing. I mean, he must be scared right now, and all his children and grandchildren must be scared, and all of his associates and contemporaries. Tom Hanks supposedly has type 2 diabetes. So that does complicate things a little bit more, because he probably does have a little bit weaker immune system. And that's a scary thing. So I wish the best for him. There's no, I'm not aware of anything established where, you can see what stage you're at, like you can with cancer, like stage 1 through 4. But hopefully with Tom Hanks and his wife Rita, they caught it early. They've obviously got the resources and hopefully considerable knowledge to be able to treat it. So, and it appears that way. I just think it'd be irresponsible for you guys to not just do your part and not practice good hygiene. That is all. Because just because you're not affected, just because it just affects the elderly and the sick, doesn't mean that you can't contract pneumonia, unrelated, and then all of a sudden be susceptible to those symptoms. I just hope that you guys can be considerate of others and be responsible and just do your part. We don't know enough right now to know all the bullet points on how to totally prevent yourself from contracting it or from spreading it to others. But let's just implement what we know now and just apply what we know now. And that's just use common sense and also, don't be rude to other people that are taking it more seriously, because there's a lot of people. I mean, we all have elderly family members. We all have sick family members. Some of us are sick and other people might not even know it. That might not be something they even feel like sharing. Just because you're 40 doesn't mean that you don't have the insides of a 70-year-old. A lot of people take care of themselves ridiculously bad. So just be considerate, and just turn off the TV once in a while. Turn off the media. We've learned all this stuff from the media. Obviously, it's not like we've gotten some dissertations from scientists or biologists or virologists or anything. So they've informed us, and that's all fine and well. But there's a happy medium on everything. There's a healthy dose of everything. So keep that in mind as well. All right, guys, I love you. I hope the next time I speak to you, things will be better, and there's gonna be better topics. I have some dope videos lined up for you guys, some dope ones, and I can't wait to share them with you. I'm putting the touches on them. Until then, guys, I love you all. Thank you for your continued support and engagement. I wish nothing but the best for you guys and hope you all finish your week out strong. I love you. I'm going to plug out. All right, guys, deuces.